Well, here it is. 28 videos ago, I did not know how to take a video on my computer. I did not have a YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, I actually was categorized with the kid videos because I clicked the wrong box for the first like 10. I'm green when it comes to computers. This stuff is intimidating and exciting at the same time. And I do believe that I see a future in this eventually. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen. And none of it would be possible if it wasn't for the story I'm about to share right now. I firmly believe that a stranger changed my life. Picture it. You're growing up. You're in a young single mom, drinks a little bit. That's your upbringing. On top of that, you move a lot. Like there was one year, I think we moved 3 times to different town/city, whatever. We moved 3 times. For sure, every year was the norm to a certain point. On top of that, I was one of those zit kids. I had pimples, and it isn't exactly confidence boosting, if you know what I mean. So you combine that with the fact that I never saw a male role model that ever was worth a grain of salt, that with the upbringing, I was just a shy, timid, low self-esteem kid. Grade 6 dance, I think I was the only one in the room that didn't actually dance, and I mean, you go through everything from, with the pimple thing, I mean, everything from people talking behind your back to whispering in front of you to outright bullying. And so I've seen it all with that stuff. That set me up to a certain psyche that for some reason I had a good work ethic. So I ended up on construction jobs every year. I mean, when I was younger, I'd pick blueberries, sell them. I'd shovel driveways. I would, for cash, I would, pick pine cones, like anything that I thought I was capable of. And generally speaking, slowly advance. Next thing you know, I'm fixing deck boards at a camp at age 12. At age 13, I'm pumping gas. At age 15, I'm on road construction. I work every summer as long as I can remember. I mean, since 40 years, I've been a physical labor kind of guy, except for sales, and that's a whole other story. Anyways, we're on a road job in the wonderful Pickle Lake, Ontario. And it's a mine that needs their road fixed. And I'm just one of the low-level grunts on the job. And over the years, I managed to, you run the packer and you run the bulldozer and I ran the loader and I was towing the fuel wagon around at 18 years old now. And I'm just happy to be working, going with the flow of life. Never really thought about ambition in any sense of the word. Except I did. Except it was just small thinking. We're making, I don't know, $12 an hour. $12 an hour in those days was pretty decent money. 18 years old, 28, 30, so that's 30 years ago for that one. And anyways, it ends up that the only way I'm going to get a raise is if I get on that backhoe. And to me, if you have dreams, do you ever have a dream about your dream job? Well, mine was the backhoe. It was this machine that was like a video game. You mean to tell me that if I learn this machine, you'll give me more money and I work less? To me, that's all I needed to know. So it was my literally obsession was to get onto that machine. So what I did was I set myself up to be working with that person. Over time, you have opportunities, and I gravitated to that machine whenever possible. Coffee breaks, who am I talking to? It ends up on the coffee breaks, they would even let me, they left them idling. And I'd say, do you mind if I just play a little bit? And he says, yeah, go ahead. So I hop on it. I push a rock with that big clam. I pull a rock. I dig a hole. I'd fill a hole and tamp it down. And I would just play in every coffee break. And they see this young, eager beaver go-getter kid. And it ends up that I'm working with them. I'm basically the surveyor. They called him the rod man. I had to measure grade. I measure the grade. he sets grades. So high fill, low cut. And it's a long story how that stuff works. But basically, I would spray paint rocks, and I'd either dig a hole and spray paint it, or I'd stack rocks and spray paint it with the proper height of the road. And it was his job to go that. And I worked with him. And I just couldn't hardly wait to get that job, because more money, less work. Who wouldn't sign up for that? I mean, that was my dream. That was as big as I could think in those days, was a backhoe job. And I'll never forget it. The guy running that machine, he looked ancient. He was like friggin' over the hill old. He had to be at least 40. I mean, I'm older than that now. And at the time, I thought this guy was a dinosaur. And he was a bit weathered. Like, even in those days, we made good money and we drank good money. I'm not going to lie. We partied hard in that town. It ends up that he shuts the machine off. And he folded his hands and he put them on his lap. And he just looks at me. And immediately I'm like, okay, what's the matter? I'm looking for, is there a hydraulic leak? I'm looking for some problems. Is there oil? Is there track problems? Is there anything I need to do? Clear out tracks? What's going on? And the whole time I'm doing this, he's doing this. So I settled and I looked at him for a second and I said, is there any problem? Is there something you need help with? And I'm still like just going at it. I'm just trying to work and get stuff done. And he still just looks at me. And finally I shut up. And like the old wise owl, he just was waiting for me to shut up. And finally I said, what? And he looks at me. And he says, Troy, you're too fucking smart to be here. Look at me. I haven't seen my family in 40 days. You know we drink away most of our money. If we have anything left to bring home, it's barely. He says, you do not want this job. You need to get your ass out of here and go make something of yourself. I said, after a long moment of silence, I said, well, what do you mean? You're doing my dream job. Like, it didn't compute. I mean, he's telling me not to do what I've been dreaming of doing, and my brain didn't know how to comprehend the information. It was just not registering somehow. I was shook, and it shook my foundation. It shook my soul. And that was it. He turns the machine back on, and he keeps working like nothing happened. Well, you can imagine how that day went. We're working daylight hours. We're in a northern town community, like got to be close to the friggin' about 3 hours north of the Trans-Canada Highway, which means you're north. So, I mean, there was like probably 3-4 hours of dark, if that. We worked daylight hours. So I was just working, and I just couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it. His words were ringing in my head. Imagine working anywhere from 15 to 20-hour days in a physical environment. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I swear to God, I didn't sleep for 2 days. And finally, I don't know what it was. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just walking around like a friggin' zombie. And I just remember, middle of the night, staring at the ceiling. And I said out loud to myself, he's right. This man took my dream and just literally transformed the way I looked at the world. Why? I don't know. Who he is? I don't know. I'll never, ever know who that man was. But if it wasn't for that experience, I don't believe I'd be on the path I am today. It was the next rotation meaning the next time you get to see civilization. We're living in a bush camp. The next rotation was like, 3 weeks out. It was like 23 days or whatever it was. And I never went back. I have not been on a piece of equipment or a road job since that day. And there was people that said, Troy, you're making a mistake. You should sooner or later, you're just making a mistake. This is what you do. This is what you know. You've got to stick with this. You can grow from that. And the mistake was that after I finally realized this crazy shake my foundation epiphany that I had, that the dreams and the goals that I had were not the ones that I wanted anymore, that like the idea that you stretch an elastic band, it can never go back to the same shape. That's what happened to me. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do? If it's not that, what? I don't have any degrees. I don't have any other special skills besides the labor skills I've been nurturing for the last, 6 years of my life, even at 18, which is pretty scary. I had 6 summers of work experience, it's amazing. I said, what am I going to do? And then I saw there was an opportunity for a sales job. And well, that was in a previous video. I mean, it turns out I had a knack for sales that I never knew I had, that I never touched a file folder. I never talked to a customer on a phone. I had never, done cold calls, like knocking on business doors saying, hi, I'm here to sell you stuff. But I had a knack for it. And in a very short period of time, I saw a bit of success. I never would have applied for that job if it wasn't for that man on that backhoe. I don't believe I have the vocabulary to give you the feeling of transformation, of literally earth-shattering views on the world and how that can just crumble in a moment. And surprised as I was, I never saw it coming. I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense to anybody. All I know is this. Today, meaning this program, this Broken Carpenter series of courses, here it is. This is the apex. This is it. 7 videos in 7 days, 7 videos on the 7th day, and it's done. But guess what? I'm going to do one every day until I die. Period. So look forward to more. You're probably thanking me. Please, Troy, don't send any more videos. Oh my God, you can't do that to us anymore. It's too much. I get it. It's a lot. And it was my own personal challenge. And I, go on record saying if I'm offending anybody with the volume, and it's not my intent. It was just me doing something that is important to me. And hopefully there's nuggets in here and there that maybe you could have gained on. And I've learned a ton about computers, about YouTube, about more about how to speak and the thought processes behind it. It gave me a lot of lessons in 1 week of just really grinding and testing myself on work days and late and waking up early and just getting shit done. So I hope something was a benefit from this series. If there's any comments that anybody possibly could give me on, you know what, Troy, this was great, that maybe could use some improvement, or you know what, we really like this topic, why don't you, is there anything you can do in that area again? Just idea feedback, I would greatly appreciate. Anything positive, anything negative, greatly appreciate. This is going to be my new life one day. A guy's got to eat. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen tomorrow, but more is definitely coming down the pipe. So that's all. I'm going to cut it off right there. I hope I did this story justice, because the intense emotion I feel inside over it is hard to translate maybe in video, but hopefully you got a bit there too. So signing off, Broken Carpenter series, closed, done, and over. Next, we shall see what the future brings. Just keeping it real and raw. I'm going to be me when I do this. Let's see what unfolds. Thanks, everybody.